The rhythm of the city, all once you get it down. Say you can own this town, you can wear the crown. Why should I worry? Tell me, why should I care? Yeah, I may not have a dime, oh, but I got streets that bus fare. Why should I worry? Tell me, why should I care? It's just a due population, and I got streets that bus fare. Anything fakes. They love me after Chelsea, they adore me at the race. Why should I worry? Tell me, why should I care? But even if I cross that line, I got streets that I fear. Come on! I said, ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah, ooh, 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 ooh. Whoa, oh, oh, oh. Come on! Yeah! Sing it! Oh, 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 yeah.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Goots' Disney Pod. I am Ray Goots. I'm your host this evening, and I'm here with Aric Grooms. Aric, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm all right, and we're talking about Oliver & Company today. But before we get into Oliver & Company, Aric, how long have you been doing stand-up?
Wow, I'm in my 4th year of doing stand-up, yeah.
So you're still relatively new.
Yeah, to this type of speaking, I guess, or this type of performing. But yeah, it's, I'll be, in August, it'll be my 4th year.
Oh,
so
wow.
3.5 years, yeah.
And how'd you get started in stand-up?
I used to be a pastor. I was a minister. So I was that for about 20 years, and then I went through a divorce, moved to New York City, kind of at the same time. So I wasn't really doing ministry anymore. Took a kind of 2 or 3 years off of doing all that, and then I met my wife, my new wife, and she encouraged me to go do stand-up down at the club. So I ended up going down, liking it, meeting some friends that I still have now, and started our own comedy show, and that's basically how I got into it. So I was able to use my speaking background in a different format with that's been good.
And you did the Very Good comedy show.
Yeah, our show is a very good comedy show. It's grown. We actually celebrate on this next Thursday at Stand Up New York, March the 19th. It is we're doing an album recording. We're taking some of our acts throughout the year. They're going to be on there. And we're going to be recording an album and putting that out. Just a 5-minute stand up from each of the acts. It's going to be a nice project for us. Well, I think we always say that if we don't, we're going to learn something even if it's not perfect. So but yeah, we're 3 years with the show. It's great.
Wow. And I think, did I do the first one? Dustin Chafin was the headliner?
That was right. And that was the 3 years to go on the 14th of March. So we're within a few days.
Yeah, it was snowing.
It was a blizzard. It wasn't just snowing. We thought we were going to have to cancel everything on our very first show, but it ended up being...
We actually had a lot of people.
Yeah, there were people, and then everyone who was there wasn't going to leave. They were there for the duration. It was a fun night. Yeah, it was a great way to kick off.
What was the venue again?
Then it was a great venue near my neighborhood in the Upper West Side. It's called the West End Lounge. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Is that still there?
Yeah, he's doing well. I mean, they've kind of changed their format a little bit. The owner has opened up another club, giving shouts out to him. It hasn't opened yet, but it's in Hell's Kitchen.
Okay.
And we do a lot of cabaret shows, drag shows. It's just a fun night, no matter what you're doing over there. And it's got a separate performance space. Their setup is as good as anything you'll find in the city. They're on Broadway, for that matter. It's just incredible.
Yeah. I like, but I do really like the old spot. I used to do open mics there. It's just a hike to get out there, for me at least, from Astoria.
It's about 45 minutes at least what it took me today, and that's with everything going smoothly. So I can imagine, like in a blizzard, how long it would take.
It took a little bit. It didn't take that much longer, but it still took a while.
Yeah.
With the blizzard that day. Yeah, but it was a great show.
Yeah, it's fun, and you've been on. We were in Woodstock. We had a monthly Woodstock that we, for a couple of reasons we've suspended that. We still do one-offs in Woodstock because I have a home up there, and we. Yeah, you were there once, I know, for that one, and you've been at the shows.
Yeah, that was a nice spot, too.
That was fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a bar. George Carlin's brother. I don't know if you met him the night you were there, but he lived right beside the bar, so he would stop over. He's older, so he didn't like to stay out late. So if we got an early start, he would usually come. Had some great memories up there. And, some good
And the
people.
burger was good.
Oh, the food's incredible.
Yeah, the food's really good there.
Yeah.
Sweet. So, Aric, you said you were a youth pastor. Was that what you said, or?
Well, I was a youth pastor out of college for
Okay.
about 5 years. So that's kind of how you get started in pastoring. Most of the time, you work with kids, and then and be in some kind of associate role. So that's why I would follow the senior pastor. He really helped me with speaking. Helped me with, and more than anything, he helped me to deal with people because. In comedy, even it's not much different than a church. You got a lot of people with different, backgrounds and different agendas, if you will, and so how to manage that. That's probably what I learned from him more. And then went to another church for a few years, and then ended up pastoring in a church for 6 years. That was a senior pastor. And then I was also at the same time I was a financial planner, and I worked with stocks and bonds. And I got a chance to move to West Virginia and do that full time. And I say full-time. I was doing it full-time, but I mean, it was a big job that I couldn't do both. So I did that, and then I did my ministry on the side. I would still do preaching here and there. People would ask me, basically like a comic, they'd come in, somebody can't make it on Sunday, can you come? He's on vacation, can you come speak? Or can you speak at our revivals or whatever, special services you needed? So you kind of contracted work that way. So that was a great experience as well. But that was my background. So I went to school. I was in pre-med. Had full ride scholarship, and I didn't think I could do it. I was doing it. I like to talk, and I like to be around people. And the more I was doing medicine and science, the more you're in a lab, the more you're seeing very few people. I mean, it's not. I mean, obviously I didn't make it to the point of being a doctor, but it's not like Grey's Anatomy or whatever. It's hard. It's you literally have to.
I've heard from doctors Grey's Anatomy is one of the most unrealistic shows about doctors on the planet.
Yeah, probably the only more unrealistic project I've ever seen is the Ocean's 8, because you can't get 8 women to agree.
Oh,
so I'm teasing. My wife doesn't like that joke.
That's I like that. That's a good one.
It really was taken, even at the undergrad level, was taking so much of my time mentally, and it was getting worse and worse. And it wasn't that I didn't handle it or couldn't handle it or get good grades. It was just it wasn't who I was. I need to be around people and communicating. That's really what I need to do.
Okay, cool. So, let's talk about your childhood. Did you have a religious childhood, or was it filled with cartoon? What was your childhood like, buddy?
That's a good question. I had a grandmother and an aunt who never missed church. Mm-hmm. So when I was really young, I lived closer to my aunt, so she would take me to her church, and I loved it. My cousins went, my friends. But as I got older, there's another church, my grandmother's church, which is literally I grew up in the country. I mean, way rural. It's imagine what you think rural would be, and then double that. But on my road, we had 2 churches, each a mile from my house. One my aunt went to, one my grandma went to. So when I got older, my friends from school were actually going to my grandma's church, so she would take me. So from that standpoint, it was a religious background. And then when I got into my teenage years, we had a church camp that I started working at as a counselor, and so that was really where religion was for me. But unlike a lot of people who are in denominations like that, where it's very conservative, I had a dad who was a truck driver, drank beer, played sports, a great guy, hunted,
a man's man.
A man's man. It's not that you can't be a Christian and be a man's man. I'm saying that, but I would consider my dad a Christian. He just, it just wasn't, he wasn't in that religious lifestyle, let's say it that way. And my mom, same way. Great people. So I had beer at home, and then I'd go to church. It was just this whole dynamic. And back home, it's drugs or Jesus. You turn to one or the other. So
okay.
And alcohol being the drug.
You guys were into everything.
Yeah, so it was well rounded. A lot of people, who never made it into a church didn't really understand that world, and a lot of people who were in church and never ever got outside of it, they didn't understand that world of how people can just, have beliefs in God or religion, but yet not think they have to be at church every Sunday and let the church decide how they live. So that was my childhood, from a religious standpoint. So.
Okay, dope. And was Disney or cartoons a big part of your childhood, or was your dad like, no cartoons, I'm gonna go punch bears?
No, Dad. Yeah, he would make fun of me. He still does make fun of me. I was a kid. This will give you an example into my childhood. I was about 8 years old, and we have guns around the house, always did. And I had this .22 pistol as a revolver. It looked like what you would have at what a cowboy movie, what that kind of revolver. It wasn't anything like that. It wasn't an old one. It was a .22 pistol. Is just a really small bullet, one of the smallest you can get. And so my dad let me walk around the woods anytime I wanted with this thing by myself. I would just walk around, come home from school. And I'm not talking about coming home from high school. I'm talking about coming home from second grade, third grade, throw my gun on, and then walk through the woods. And this one time, the very first time I shot and killed a squirrel, there was a squirrel in a tree back behind our house, a good bit behind our house, probably about a mile, and I'd walk back in the woods. And then I shot it and knocked it out of the tree from about 50 yards or so, knocked it out of the tree, but I didn't kill it, so it kept running. And then it went up another tree. I ran towards it. I shot him again. He fell out of the tree. Didn't kill him. So like this happened like 5 times. I ended up shooting him. And finally, the last time he fell out of the tree, he was still alive, but he was panting in the ground. And so I knew I had to kill him. So I killed him. But I cried. I took the squirrel home at 5 bullets in it, and I was like crying. I'm sorry. And Dad still makes fun of me for.
It took you 5 bullets to get. That is a tough squirrel.
Well, no, what I'm saying
that is the 50 Cent of squirrels.
That I cried.
Oh, okay.
Is why he made fun of me. And I'm like, why don't you, Dad, you know how hard it is for a kid to shoot a squirrel 5 times out of a tree from that far away? So nobody wants to talk about my marksmanship skills. They just want to talk about my. Yeah,
it is impressive that you kept nailing him.
Right. I kept hitting him. I would hit him in the leg or I would hit him in the tail or whatever. But it was still a pretty impressive shot. But he didn't care. I can't believe he cried whenever you executed the squirrel. So.
But I am impressed with the squirrel's tenacity.
He was bad, yeah.
Yeah.
It's tough looking something's eyes like that knows its breaths are few.
Now, do you still hunt?
No, I have nothing against it. I do own guns up at our house upstate. We
I know you have guns
there and all that, but I never did like to hunt. Okay. I mean, I just like to walk around with my gun.
Yeah.
And then I have hunted. I've gone with friends, but I was also a basketball player. So that's when you hunt, is in the basketball season. So. In high school, if you missed school, they wouldn't let you play basketball in the game that weekend. So that's what ended up. I just kind of got out of it, and it's also usually cold and early in the morning, and that's kind of things I don't enjoy either. So
okay,
there's no conscientious objection to it. It's just it's very much a personal lazy objection to it.
No, I hear. So did cartoons play a part in?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know how old are you, Ray?
I am 39. How old are you?
I'm 50. I just turned 50 this past month.
So we grew up on different cartoons.
A little bit different cartoons, but it's also probably different dynamic by the time, because you would have been like 10 when I was 20. So you're looking at, when I was in college, that's SpongeBob come out shortly after I was in college. So like that's the kind of cartoons but it wasn't just the type of cartoon, it was how you received them. Like for us, you had 2 different places you could watch cartoons before VCRs came out, which would have been in the mid 80s.
Yeah.
You would go home after school, and Mr. Cartoon was on WSAZ Television 3 out of Huntington, West Virginia. You turn the antenna from the Columbus station down, and you'd watch. And Mr. Cartoon would have 5 or 6 different
shows,
cartoons, and it would be Bugs Bunny, Tom and Jerry. Those types of like really short cartoon clips. So that's what we really grew up on more than anything. And then I found out that Mr. Cartoon was also the weatherman, and that broke my heart at that little.
That son of a bitch.
Yeah, I couldn't believe it. It was like, okay, I can't even believe in Santa Claus now. You know what I mean? So anyway, they and then on the next one is Sunday morning cartoons. You get up on Sunday morning, and then you watch your shows, and then these are, of course, in between the Schoolhouse Rock, but usually.
I mean Saturday morning.
What did I say? Sunday?
I think you said Sunday.
I may have. But
okay,
Saturday
morning is when
Saturday morning cartoons.
Because in the 80s, they still had Saturday morning cartoons. 80s and 90s, they were still going
I can remember when they would have stopped that. But yeah, it's every Saturday morning you sat and you watched cartoons, and that was part of it.
Can I say I'm livid that they don't have... Not that I know I wouldn't watch them. I wouldn't like get up, but I'm so pissed there's no more Saturday morning cartoons.
Well, that's the thing, though. That's probably... And this doesn't just come to cartoons. This is like even in comedy, the way the entertainment is consumed now. Mm-hmm. Like you could have Saturday morning cartoons, make them your own. Go to YouTube, and every Saturday morning you could actually.
That's true. I could get up at 8 in the morning and just watch cartoons. Exactly. I just like having it. I just like the feeling. It just felt like a party every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Well, no, I think I even do that now. I have Spectrum, but I don't have all the channels. I just have the basic one that comes through the Roku, and I'll turn on, like, if Parks and Rec's on Comedy Central, I'll watch that with the commercials.
Yeah.
And my wife's like, why are you doing that? You have it on Netflix, or you have it on Hulu, whatever. You can just watch it without the commercial. But there's something about, like, that, okay, I'm going to pause for 3 minutes while somebody tries to sell me chicken or something, and I'm going to watch this show. I think there's something good about consuming entertainment that way rather than just binge watching something.
Well, you know what I like, cause I'll leave the TV on for the dogs, and I have the digital antenna right here because I got rid of my cable in December.
Oh, that's what I had before. Yeah, I have. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I love those.
And I watch channel 11.2, which is antenna TV, and it's just all sitcoms all day long. Like before you got it, I was watching Different Strokes.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I like watching them like that. It's fun to watch them. To sit. I could go to Hulu or Netflix or something and watch. I don't know, Coach. I guess I don't even know if any service has Coach. But it's something about like midnight it comes on. And you just kind of watch it while you're doing other things. And you see these little commercials. And it makes you feel like you're part of the world.
That's exactly, yeah, I like that, part of the world, because you are. You reminded that other people are watching this too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Rather
than
like, I'm watching this on my computer, or this is just my unit or whatever. I find it comforting to watch.
And like when I'll leave for the Strip, like if it's an 8 o'clock show, I leave at 7 because the trains. But like while I'm getting ready, the 6:30 is Barney Miller. So you're just watching Barney Miller. Rather than, like, let's say I go to Netflix. All right, what do I want to watch? I want to watch this. I want to watch that. It's just this is on, and you can pay attention to it, and you don't have to, but it's there. They're there with you.
I can't decide what to watch on Netflix.
Yeah, me neither.
So I like the idea of, hey, you're going to watch Barney Miller right now.
Yeah, at 6:30 every weekday, you can watch Barney Miller if you want. And there it is.
Yeah, I have 4 kids, and it flips them out when I tell them that we watched what my dad wanted. That we had the option where all 4 of us are staring at a different screen.
Yeah.
If you didn't like MASH, you didn't watch anything.
Yeah.
And if Dad didn't like it on what's on TV, he made you go change what was on TV until you found something he liked.
Yeah,
so
you can't just pull out your phone.
Yeah, that was what you did. And if you didn't, and Dad got to choose. There were no meetings. There was no questioning what the kids would like to watch.
And now, did you guys go see a lot of Disney movies when you were younger? How about with your daughters? Did you take them to see Disney movies? Because you have 3 daughters and a son. I keep forgetting your son exists.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Well, that's okay. He's barely does. No, he's a great kid. Yeah. So my 2 kids, my oldest is 20 now, and my youngest is she's 9. She'll be 10 in the summer, and then my stepkids are 13. My son is 13. He'll be 14 in my stepdaughter just turned 18.
Okay.
So really and they came into my life whenever Netflix and all these other things were
more prominent in kids' lives.
So really the only one that I would have been taking them to was I would be doing Jordan, my oldest one. I'd be taking her to movies. So her first movie was Finding Nemo.
Oh, okay.
That was the first one. And I had no idea. I thought, well, it's a cartoon.
Yeah.
And she was 4, I think. And I'm like, she'll love this. But the shark scene, she wasn't ready for the sharks to chase, Nemo's dad and Dory around. So, yeah, that's been a big part. Movies were a part of us, always have been in many ways. We tend to have our favorite movies and watch them over and over again, so it's hard as a...
So what are some movies like that you guys watch or your family watches? It doesn't have to be cartoons.
Well, the kids. Now my youngest one's different. She's got YouTube. She's got her own YouTube channel, and she's making her own movies. And she's really funny.
How old is she?
9.
Is she making YouTube videos?
Yeah. Well, she's taking. There's a program that you can actually write stories with characters. They look like cartoons. They move, and she'll sit there painstakingly for hours, and so she's got a channel. He doesn't have very many subscribers, but she also doesn't have a marketing campaign. But she's got 30, 40 people, I think, that watch her movies.
That's not bad.
Yeah, I don't know how many I have.
It's more people that are going to see me at Governor tomorrow night. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny when your kids are like, all my kids have more Instagram followers than me.
Yeah.
I mean, they're not in entertainment, but it's like every time they meet somebody, it's what's your Instagram.
I think that's what it is. Like in school, if you have a class with 30 kids, those 30 kids are going to follow you.
Yeah, and it's not. Yeah, they're just following you because they would like to be part of your life. And if my daughter, any of my daughters put anything up on Instagram, it'll get 3 times more than what I would get in likes. But like I said, the movies became a big part of me and my oldest daughter. So there are many of those. As far as movies we like, the kids, other than Chloe, the young one, seem to really like all of the Marvel franchise.
Okay, well, I love those too.
Yeah, I know that. But
he's that's all I post about sometimes.
The first Marvel movie I saw was Endgame. So that tells you.
Oh wow! So you must be like, "What am I watching?"
And my son, I watched it with my son. I took him, and And I kept asking questions. He's like, "You have to watch like this."
You have to watch
movie.
20. Yeah, you have to
Yeah.
really watch 20 movies to understand.
But I
that
didn't.
movie.
I knew that kind of, but I didn't know to what extent. Although the good news, the reason I think those movies are so appealing is because I enjoyed them. I think they're cast well for one. You know, like seeing Paul
The
Rudd do
writing's
anything's
good.
funny. The writing's good, and the characters I know.
Yeah.
So even though I don't know,
You know who Spider-Man is.
I know who Spider-Man is. I know what his powers are.
Yeah.
I know his backstory. So any allusions to that, and most of the characters I did know in that way.
Okay.
So that I enjoyed it. I really did. I thought it was really good.
It's a fun way. I like the fact that I've always wanted a film series to do a Back to the Future too. Like just like that you wouldn't, and that fact that they actually did like a super in the middle of the movie. It's just like a super duper version of Back to the Future 2,
Yeah.
where they go into the old movies. I thought was so fucking awesome.
Yeah, and it was like and with a lot more moving parts than Back to
Yeah,
the Future.
and
had.
I mean, I like the fact that my idea. This was my idea, and I still might do it. Because you make a movie like 16 Candles or Breakfast Club, right? And you make it, you film it, you put it out there like a teen movie. But while you're filming that movie, you don't tell anyone. You film other scenes, and then 30 years later, you have a movie where one of the characters' kids goes back in time and changes the ending of the movie. So the characters are on a better path, and that's when you incorporate the scenes from the movie 30 years ago. So in other words, like imagine if they filmed stuff with like Molly Ringwald and Judd Hirsch, or not Judd Hirsch, with Judd Nelson. 30 years ago, we don't know about it, and then they did a time travel movie where some kid from like 2020 goes and changes the ending to Breakfast Club.
Okay, yeah.
That would be my idea.
You could probably even do that with like everything's computers
With
now.
the computers, yeah.
But I think that would be a neat concept. You could easily do that. And
You probably could. Oh, you just de-age Molly Ringwald. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought it'd be really cool. This is before computers. If somebody planned that, like in 30 years, I'm gonna make the time travel.
Yeah, no, I think that would have been very insightful if someone would have done that.
Yeah,
But I think you still could.
Yeah,
in other ways, yeah.
So, when I announced I'm doing this Disney podcast, I tried to pick comedians who match the films. Some were easy, like for example, well, she didn't wind up doing it, but I picked her first. Was Katherine Henson from Alice in Wonderland because of her history with drugs.
Okay.
And
she's been through
Barry Ribs with Snow White because he's so old. Even though he didn't know the plot of Snow White, but that's a whole other story.
It's probably it's after his time.
Yeah, but I remember when I'm picking ahead, I wasn't thinking this far ahead. You hit me up and said I want to do Oliver and Company.
Right. You
and I said, well, that's perfect because
I don't know how I saw it, but I said, yeah, if you're going to do that, I want to talk about that movie.
So I reserved you. So let me ask you this. Obviously, when did you first see Oliver and Company?
I saw Oliver and Company on opening night in 1988, November.
And you were already in your 20s?
I know. I was 18 years old. I was a
18 years
freshman in college.
Okay.
And
why'd you go see an opening night? Because this is before. Nowadays, a lot of like college kids go see stuff like Pixar and Disney.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure like there are a bunch of like 20-year-olds at Frozen 2 and stuff. But why did you decide to go see this opening night back in 88? November 18th, 1988.
Yeah, okay. I remember the date. I knew it came out in November. I looked that up before I came. But and I went with a couple other of my friends, guys that were my age. And, well, I mean, it's no news here, but how the amount of content you could consume was smaller, and especially a town like mine.
Yeah.
So if you're going to go out on a Friday night, that's when the new movies would come out. We were going to movies quite often. That was our entertainment. We would drive 20 minutes into a town in Chillicothe that had a movie theater, and you would watch. I mean, even when I was a little kid, we had 3 movie theaters in the town. I mean, opening night I saw like all the Prince movies. In just these little theaters. I was actually able to go back and do comedy at the one theater where I saw Purple Rain.
Oh, that's awesome.
They've turned it out. They got rid of the... they do actually still do movies there, but they actually have the stage because it's almost 200-year-old theater that's got a stage and everything. Really, really cool. So that was part of our entertainment growing up. And so now we have to decide what we're going to see on this particular night.
Yeah.
But this was one movie we all looked forward to primarily because of the cast. If you look at the cast, in 1988, you couldn't have found anybody hotter than, of course, Dom DeLuise is kind of on the backside of his, like, height of his fame after the, Cannonball Run and all that stuff he did with Burt Reynolds. But you had Bette Midler, you had Billy Joel, and, of course, Cheech and Chong was so loved back then. So, Cheech Moran. So this cast, And then they kept playing the Huey Lewis song, "The Once Upon a Time in New York City." So it was really publicized pretty well. So
Okay.
it was
Yeah, it was.
knew-
They really. I didn't go see this, but I remember there were commercials every 3 seconds.
Yeah, they really put it out there, and I'm a music fan like crazy, so huge Huey Lewis fan. Of course, I would have been, you mentioned Back to the Future. That's he was the one, Power of Love and all that stuff. That was his stuff coming after that. So you're looking at basically the same type of music, and so that was part of it. And we just went and saw it and enjoyed it. It was wonderful. It was great.
Yeah, I really liked it. I didn't see it until this summer. But before we get into how I thought of it, how has the movie? So you just rewatched the movie recently, correct?
Yeah. Well, I watched. Oh, here's the other thing. I liked it so much that when my oldest, because this is 12 years before my daughter was born.
Yeah.
So I ended up buying it again for her.
Okay.
And we had a VHS copy of it then. After she was born, because we
you did the
VCR back
DVD because I had the DVD.
we got a DVD later,
Okay.
but we still had a VHS player at that time. Back then, you had both. Usually they were both, but I think we probably found it at a yard sale or some thrift store, something like that, because they were kind of going out of fashion. But no, we always have had a copy of the movie, and so I showed it to my daughter, and I loved it. She loved it, so it was always part of our life even after I saw it the first time. Yeah, it was one of those things. Whenever I'm not sure why, I'm not sure what else was going on, but I'm not sure how memories work. But there was something about that could really connect to me. I like the story. I love New York City, even though I had never at that point never been there. I like the idea of it. I like the idea of being on your own, having a gang. That was cool. A group of friends that no matter what, you're going to be on the same page. To me, it just
even though Oliver is different from them, as that the fact that he's a cat, the dog's being so supportive of him was an interesting choice.
Yeah, it was. I thought it was. I thought how they teased him and then let him come back in. They tested him a little, and he was.
And the little girl, I thought it was interesting. The little girl, her bonding with Oliver wasn't overly done.
No, it was a little girl who was lonely.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't about her wanting a cat. She wanted something that would be there for her because of her parents not being around and stuff. And then once they did, take him and rescue him, just to see the devastation on her and how she was willing to do anything, to get her cat back.
Yeah.
So that I thought it was a heartwarming story. So I wanted that to be something that my daughter saw, and so it was one of the ones we picked. Probably the only one that I can remember that we picked. I'm sure we picked others, but there was a time when Disney movies were hard to come by. I'm sure you're aware of that.
Oh yeah, well I'll tell you my quick story about Oliver and Company. I didn't see it in theaters because I don't think we had time, and I was just like to my mom and dad, I'll buy me the VHS tape and I'll watch it then. And Land Before Time came out the same day as this, and I think it outgrossed Oliver and Company.
Okay.
Before Time. We got the VHS tape of that. I watched it once, cried my eyes out. We never watched it again, and I never rebought it. But this thing didn't come out on VHS until 1996 when I was 15 years old.
Oh wow.
So I kind of think Disney. See, that's the thing. People, a lot of people my age grew up on Little Mermaid or Beauty and the Beast. Mm-hmm. That's because that stuff came out on VHS as soon as the movie came out. Mm-hmm. So you could have it for your whole childhood. But this movie, I think this would have been a big part of my childhood, but I didn't get my hands on it until, and we didn't buy it in 96 because I was over.
Yeah, right. You're 16 years old.
So I rebought it 2010 I just bought it on DVD in 2010 finally. And I finally watched it this summer, and I watched it a second time to get ready for this podcast, and I really like it. And this is the second movie, Great Mouse Detective being the second one, where I'm like, this could have been a bigger part of people's childhood and also a bigger moneymaker for the company, but you buried it right away so fucking fast.
Yeah,
I don't understand that reasoning.
Yeah, I don't. Right, I think that's the thing. I didn't need the DVD or the copy of it
because you didn't have a kid yet.
Right, but once then, so I probably didn't realize that there was that gap there.
Yeah,
but I knew they would also do limited release. They would stop selling their DVDs or CVDs or VHS, and it would become so hard to get.
Yeah,
you couldn't find them, and
they wouldn't put them on TV.
No, they wouldn't.
But I feel like that was to their benefit because then, my
That's
mom rebought Little Mermaid on VHS. She rebought it on DVD. She rebought it on Blu-ray. So
yeah,
they have our money 3 times on one movie.
On one movie because it means that much to you. They know what they're doing, and even this Disney Plus. Having all their stuff there, they've priced that right as well. It's like $7, I think.
Yeah. Now, I mean, if they had this as a kid, I don't think me and my dad wouldn't have given a shit, but me and my mom wouldn't have left the house from when I was 7 till about when I was 13.
Yeah.
We just would have been locked in this room watching everything.
Yeah, they're obviously they know what they're doing, and that's, I mean, as the owner of, you know, a very small startup entertainment company, you know, that's who you're competing with, and you got to learn from them what it is that they're doing that, you know, reaches an audience to that extent.
Yeah.
Because you have good stories, they have good casting, they obviously the money to put the effects and things into it, and have the best of the best.
I think this is the first Disney movie though, because like in the past, like I'll look at the voice credits from the movies in the 80s. Like they had Kurt Russell do and Corey Haim do the voices in Fox and the Hound.
Okay.
But nobody knew who they were at the time, and Kurt Russell wasn't that big of a deal. It's just like do the voice because you do other stuff with us.
Yeah, okay.
But this is the first time I think they had a huge cast of celebrities as the voices. Because I remember the commercials, it was like Billy Joel, Bette Midler.
Exactly,
They've never done that before.
Well, like even if you do like you've mentioned Land Before Time. I mean, if you're an 18-year-old guy, you're not going to see Land Before Time. There's these dinosaurs walking around crying. You're going to see your Billy Joel and you know, especially Cheech. The best performance I thought was
Cheech has so many like risque lines.
Yeah, the lines. Yeah, and plus, it's
not risque for like a movie for 5-year-olds.
Yeah, right,
Would it be risque if this was like a CBS sitcom?
Yeah.
But like if this movie is for like 5 to 6-year-olds, it's kind of risque.
Yeah. And it's intense for kids. I mean, really, when you got a car chase through
the car chase, the villain is 100% a villain.
Yeah,
he basically implies he's going to murder the little girl if he doesn't get the ransom money.
That's probably unique for a Disney film too, is that there was no redeeming quality about
the villain.
Yeah,
nobody talks like that. People wear Jafar shirts. People wear Ursula. I like Ursula personally.
I mean, even Marvel. I mean,
Loki.
Yeah, and even the DC stuff with, you know, they're making the villains heroes now.
Yeah, the Joker film.
Joker and Harley Quinn and all that are becoming. Yeah, they're showing their positive arcs.
But this villain had
this guy. No, he was going to kill or get his money, and there was no in between. And then he's smoking, which is always weird because you know he's smoking a cigar.
Oh yeah, they don't do that anymore.
Right.
He's basically like a loan shark dirtbag.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny. He has no henchmen. The villain too. Most of those mafioso guys have henchmen.
Yeah, well, this dog.
He's got the 2 Doberman pitchers, but
what are they going to do to people really?
So I was doing some research, and the original idea. So what happened was, when Black Cauldron came out in 1985, you ever see that one?
No.
Okay. Big piece of shit. No, it's not big. It's very dark. If you want to see like a metal Disney film, fire that up on Disney Plus. Okay. But it bombed. And they were like, we need to get back to basics. So they had a pitch meeting. And 2 of the pitches were Little Mermaid and Treasure Island in Space, which they eventually did. But then one person said Oliver Twist with animals.
Okay.
So originally this was supposed to be a lot darker. The movie is going to start with those Doberman Pinschers. You know, the 2 big dogs. Mm-hmm. Jasmine, you can put her down if you want.
That's fine. I think I just need to close.
Yeah, she likes the Jasmine. And for the people at home, Jasmine is going for the
Jasmine. What's my Cheez-Its?
His Cheez-Its. The movie's going to start with the 2 dogs murdering Oliver's parents, and then the movie's about Oliver getting revenge on the mafia and the dogs.
Okay, that's a step. That's an extra layer.
That's a different. And also, Billy Joel's character was a human that was going to help him get revenge.
Oh.
And then they changed it to everyone's dogs except for Dom DeLuise.
Yeah. You have to have the lovable loser.
Yeah, and they put a girl in. And the other thing here's the other crazy thing. That girl was released. Did you ever see The Rescuers?
Yeah, I did see that. That's been a long time.
Okay. Well, the girl in this movie was supposed to be the girl from The Rescuers.
Okay.
So this was going to be an indirect sequel to The Rescuers.
Oh, okay.
Which is funny because it did get a sequel, Rescuers Down Under.
Yeah, right.
So this would have been a trilogy.
Huh.
Like you follow the girl and she gets a cat. And then you follow the rescuers, and they go to Australia.
Okay.
But this was supposed to be the girl that was saved at the end of the rescuers. This is her like moving on with her life.
Okay.
But they changed the design of the girl.
Okay.
Yeah. Although it's still kind of, if you rewatch Rescuers, like they kind of look alike.
You look alike. Okay.
Yeah.
That'd be neat. Yeah, I had no idea of that.
Yeah. So those are like 2 changes they did, and there was also a subplot where Fagin was gonna try to steal a rare panda, and they were like, "Oh, we can't do that."
Yeah, that would be hard.
That would have made the movie longer. And like,
yeah, I mean, then there's no panda.
Yeah.
Right? Like, where would they get it?
I like the movie, but I'm gonna throw at you a few, not a lot of plot holes, but there's a few little things that I thought were kind of weird. First of all, who the fuck is just gonna leave these poor kittens in a box in the middle of the street to basically rot? Like, some human clearly got a box of kittens, put them down first, because remember the sign says $5.
Yeah.
Then it goes to free, and I'm like, who would not take that kitten for free? I would literally take all those kittens if it was free.
Well, who's coming back?
He didn't. He just left the box there.
Well, no, but I'm saying he marked it. The guy evidently had to come back.
Yeah, and mark it free.
Mark it free.
But then never checked on Oliver
never
ever again.
checked on the kittens, and people were picking up the kittens and not taking the $5.
No, they weren't.
They weren't giving $5.
So that was kind of weird. Then
That
the other
is
thing
weird.
is, I was like, I felt bad for this little girl because she's clearly rich, but her birthday party was the butler and basically a homeless man with his dogs, with his stray dogs. And I don't know if you remember the presents. She got like a broken shoe.
Yeah, and a tennis racket.
And I'm like, you have no friends at school? Because she clearly goes to school.
Yeah, she's going to school. That was my thing with the birthday party. Yeah, it fit the story, but it is. I mean, living in Manhattan, I'm like, wait a minute. They have play dates. There's going to be some other friend that's going to be there. Some other parents going to be there. And what parents both go away? You know what I mean? Like, there have been times I've had to miss a couple of important events in my kids' lives. But
Yeah.
there's no time that if it's important enough, both parents miss. Right?
Both parents go away.
Yeah, we're just going to go to. Yeah, you'll be fine.
Have a party with the homeless man who
party.
tried to kidnap you.
Or even you're going to be back the next day, have the party the next day. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that part I didn't think, I would agree wholeheartily with you.
That was, I kind of felt bad for this girl.
I
I'm
mean,
like, well, it's
play
great that
laser
she has
tag.
Oliver.
Yeah, yeah, right. And she has to have her, and why is she having her party at her house by herself?
By herself.
Yeah, why isn't she at Dumbo doing laser tag with her friends? Or
Yeah, no,
right,
she's not. She doesn't have any friends.
Yeah, she's at American Girl doll store doing a party there.
Maybe she's low key an asshole. We don't know about it.
That's true. They hit that well. That could be. Maybe she doesn't have any friends. Maybe she's a bully.
She seemed very self-centered.
We need to rewrite Oliver where she's a bully.
Well, she's
just
an asshole at
screaming,
school.
Yeah.
And Oliver has to like help her.
Yeah.
That'll be the live action version.
Yeah.
Well, they'll have Zac Efron singing "Why Should." So, what was your favorite song in this movie? I have one, but I want to see what you think.
I just love the Once Upon a Time in New York City.
Okay.
I thought that was a great way to set the story.
That is a great,
And I love Huey Lewis. And then Street Savoir Faire is fun.
Oh, Why Should I Worry?
Oh, Why Should We Worry? Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I love Why Should I Worry?
Mm-hmm.
That has been in my head since '88, since the commercials. I didn't even see the movie.
Yeah.
But I have that in my head.
Oh, yeah, I got you. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Because they would show it during the cartoons all day, and then they would show it during Alf, the commercial. They would show it during Newhart, whatever shows I would watch on Mondays.
Right.
So, and I think they even show it during wrestling, the commercial.
Okay.
And the whole commercial would just be, why should I worry? Over and over again.
Yeah, and I love the reprise at the end. I thought that was neat to bring the other
I like that
characters
one.
in there. Yeah,
I wish Streets of Gold was longer.
Yeah.
They cut it off way too fast.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was going to lead to like this huge musical number.
Yeah.
And it's only like a minute long.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought that's the one thing about the movie.
It's very short.
Versus like, let's say today's movie, like Disney movie like Frozen, which is so song heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And not to fault or to knock anyone who's doing music in those films, but how can you pass on the opportunity to have Bette Midler sing more?
Yeah.
Right? Or Huey Lewis or Billy Joel sing, because Billy Joel sings one song in that, right? That's the same. And Bette Midler has one.
Yeah.
So how do you not give them the opportunity to even sing more? That to me, that was probably the thought part I would change more than anything.
I would have added 2 more songs. Also, Billy Joel didn't write any of these songs. Dan Hartman from "Take Me Home Tonight."
Oh, really? That's it.
He wrote "Why Should I Worry."
Well, I saw that Phil Hartman was not Phil Hartman. Phil Ramone produced the songs.
So she's just being loving.
I know.
Okay.
You're fine. She's fine. I think. Yeah. Was she a poodle or what is she?
No, she's a Morkie.
Okay.
Yeah.
Usually smaller dogs don't bother me. It's the
good.
collies and all that. I'm not feeling anything. So
Okay, good.
If it was going to bother me, it would already would.
Just to give the listeners a heads up, he's a little allergic to pets.
Yeah, so I have to be very careful. But
Jasmine is sitting on his lap like
licking my leg.
They're best friends, licking
best
her leg,
friend.
licking his leg.
She's trying to butter me up to get some of these Cheez-Its.
Yeah. Sorry, you were talking about Dan Hartman.
No, Phil Ramone.
Oh, Phil Ramone. Okay.
Phil Ramone produced this thing, and when I first moved to New York City, I ended up working for the Salvation Army here in New York, doing some fundraising work for them. And they, Phil Ramone started an orchestra in Harlem for people and the kids in the schools because they were taking all the extracurriculars out, as you know. So he started his own program that was based on some of these worldwide programs that were bringing different kids from different backgrounds. And it was really unique because a lot of times when you go do a program like this, you'll go to a school and you say, I want your best kids. And give us your best. But they didn't. They'd give us your worst. Give us the ones that are doing bad in school. Give us the one. It was based on El Sistema, another program. But he put his money behind that just to make that happen. And then we ended up honoring him at a gala, which was, at the night, Aretha Franklin was there singing for him and all that. And then that was Christmas. He ended up passing away that following April. And so we had a benefit for him at our theater at the Salvation Army. And he, the people in this crowd, it was amazing, the number. Like the eulogy was Quincy Jones did the eulogy. Billy Joel sang us a couple songs. Josh Groban sang, Paul Simon sang songs.
Wow. They were all there live.
Live. This is in a theater. And then two seats in front of me was David Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And in the lobby afterwards, we saw Paul Schaefer. But you could just tell that this man was just genuinely loved. And he was Billy Joel's producer. He was the one, the Breaking Glass, and you may be right.
Yes.
That's him. He was an audio guy. That's what he was, an audio producer. And so he was actually even the one who put in the listening system in the White House that Nixon demanded that they have, that ended up catching him with the Watergate tapes. So
That's insane.
It's a neat story. But every time I see Billy Joel, it reminds me of Phil.
And that funeral.
Well, yeah,
that must have been just a crazy funeral.
It was one of the most surreal nights I've even to this day had. Just so much talent and just warmth for a human being who made such a difference. Yeah,
that's awesome. I just want to give a few more facts about Oliver and Company while we're talking about it. This is the first Disney movie to have real world advertisements. Like, I don't know if you noticed, but there's a Coke ad. There's a ad for Yamaha.
You're talking about like product placement.
Yeah.
Yeah. How about that?
Well, it's funny because on the wonderful Disney when they did behind the scene things, the animators were like, "Oh, we didn't do that for money. We did it to add realism because it's Times Square most of the movie." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you also probably did it for money."
Yeah, you didn't.
Like you could have probably had the dog in Queens. You could have had the cat be in Queens. You could have had the cat in Long Island.
Natural History Museum, or you could all kinds of places you could have had the cat. That wouldn't have been. Wouldn't have had.
I think it looks cool. I liked seeing Times Square. Yeah. It was just very jarring to see a Disney movie that takes place like in 80s New York.
Yeah.
Which but it's so 80s, but it's awesome. But it's like, it was cool. I'm not complaining, but
I didn't know that was the first one though.
Yeah, they didn't call up you didn't call up Coke and Yamaha. We're not doing this because we want money for you. We just want realism. You know what? We'll give you the free advertising.
No, they paid for the film. They probably those two.
That's probably like an idea they had. Yeah, and this is the only way you can really do that. You can't do it Little Mermaid. You can't have the Little Mermaid be like, I think I need a tab.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah, because everything not very few are set in modern times or even this world.
Yeah, some of the later ones are like like the ones from the last like Wreck-It Ralph for the video games.
Okay.
But the other thing too is I just remembered this. McDonald's sold Christmas ornaments of Oliver and Dodger, and I had Oliver, and that was on the tree. We stopped doing Christmas trees around like 98. We just got tired of doing it.
Yeah, it's all over.
But for 10 years, that was on my Christmas tree.
That's awesome. You don't still have the?
I think I do. It's in the closet. It would take me like a year to find it, but it's still there. But it's a little stuffed Oliver thing.
Oh, that's awesome.
And that was part of my. And I was looking at. Sometimes we'd be putting up the tree, and I'm like, we still have this Oliver ornament. I've never seen this movie, and there's no way for me to see this movie.
Yeah, that's weird. Think about today that there's no way to see something.
There's no way for me to see it, and like they did all this marketing and all this other shit for it. But yeah, I really like it. I think it holds. I think it holds up.
One of the things I watched, but watching it again, which I've watched it more than just obviously the time I watched it in the theater. But I really enjoyed the underwhelming animation. You know what I mean?
At the time they didn't know they were underwhelming, but I get what you're saying.
But it holds. It's almost like you're watching a play. Well, like even back to church, you mentioned church. We used to have this this felt board where you had this big thing of felt, and then you could put like pictures, like cutouts of characters like Jesus and his disciples or Mary and Joseph or whatever, and you could move them around, and the teacher would tell the stories doing that. And it felt like, especially in the shots that were far away, like when Oliver was climbing up trying to get, to just a couple different places they had him showing him from far away trying to climb up things, and it was just like he was moving him across this set background, and I thought it was just so I found it charming.
Well, here's the thing. It really does have a feeling of a Saturday morning cartoon more than a Disney movie. I agree. Here's the crazy part, though. This was the first movie to use computer animation throughout the whole movie.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, this was the one where they created a system called CAPS. I think a lot of people think that Little Mermaid or Beauty and the big scene of Beauty and the Beast is the ballroom scene. Everybody thinks that's when they started using computer animation these films, but it was this movie. And I remember as a kid, you know when Bette Midler's dog character is walking down the steps? Mm-hmm. That scene, when they said it, because I watched the thing on NBC about this as a kid. I have a lot of memories of all the promotion of this movie, but I didn't see it back then. They said that scene costs like most of the budget.
Wow.
And rewatch it, and it's just her walking down the steps and like their camera's moving. But like I think that scene's like the test. That's kind of where they got the idea for, I think, the ballroom scene in Beauty and the Beast and some stuff in Rescuers Down Under.
Okay.
Because that's when they started getting more. But this was all the backgrounds were made with computers.
Huh.
Yeah, like the city and stuff.
Yeah, that's really neat because it looks like it's just drawn like a Saturday morning cartoon would have been.
Yeah, it does. But this is the first one.
That's interesting. That's really neat.
Where the skyscrapers, taxi cabs, trains, the scooter cart, and the subway chase was used with computers.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it really is. Yeah.
Because it looks old fashioned, especially when you compare it to Little Mermaid, which just looks like it was made like 12 years later.
Right.
With the animation and stuff, and Little Mermaid only comes out literally a year later, November 15th.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It has so much a much different visual than anything else that Disney did, I thought.
Yeah, and I thought I think it's a lot of fun. Here, so let me tell you how I usually wrap up the podcast is I'll ask a comedian if they're ever going to have kids. Lately, I've heard nothing but giant no's from these single lunatic comedians. Yeah. You've already had kids. You have stepkids and your own kids, so I'm not going to ask you that. And I always ask them, would you recommend someone show this to a little kid? You have a little kid, but she's 9, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I would recommend.
You show it to someone younger than 9.
I would.
Okay.
Today, yeah, this wouldn't. Like I said, even when Jordan saw the sharks try to chase Nemo, or not Nemo, but Nemo's dad, and that scared her to death. And I don't know. Maybe a kid who's 5 or less, maybe. But well, of course, Chloe's different. My youngest is different. She was sneaking to watch The Walking Dead. Yeah, I think it just depends on who the kid is, because Chloe has 3 older siblings who she's heard everything, she's seen everything, she just handles different things differently. So there's nothing in this movie that I would have probably not shown her.
Yeah, I don't think this. I think you can show this to kids as young as 3 or something.
Yeah, I think 3 or 4. Yeah, unless you have to know your kid. That's the thing. If you know your kid's sensitive about, and you could even prepare them. Hey, there's one scene that the dogs fight, or there's a scene where they chase and guy falls in the river. Whatever it is you want to prepare them for, you could do that. But I don't see. I think I think the positive messages that come out are well worth the.
Yeah, definitely. I think so too. And
there was one other thing I want to tell you, because I told you that.
Did you have another story besides you said you had a story? Well, I don't know if it was the funeral one. It was just something else.
No. This is something about why this movie ended up being more to me. And it's weird. Like I make movies. We got a short film we're working on, and we've got a script that's in final production. And
dope.
And,
okay.
And all that. So we're going to be filming that too. And so you always think, well, who's going to watch this movie? Is this going to mean anything to anybody? And this is kind of my probably one of the reasons why I always say make the movie. If you got an idea, put it out there, because it could mean something. And for my family, it meant a lot because we had the movie was always great. Jordan loved it. She watched it a lot. She wanted a cat, of course. So she was 7, and we were like, hey, you're going to have to take care of the cat. We need your help. Oh, I will. I promise. I'll do it. I will. So we went down to the pound, and we found a cat. And it was relatively young, but it was it was still not a kitten. So we brought it home. She names it Oliver. of course.
Yeah.
And then we have him. Of course, she doesn't help at all, which is fine. And then her friends would come over. They'd play with the cat. They're 7, 8-year-old girls. They're chasing the cat all around. It's going underneath the. They're just trying to, and they're picking it up by the neck. They do things that 8-year-olds are going to do with a cat. And so yeah, we try to help her and all that. So really, it was about. She got it for her birthday in February. We kept it in one part of the house, the downstairs part of the house, and so we put. All of our bedrooms were upstairs, so we put my daughter to bed, and then whenever she was in bed, the Oliver would come out because he knew he was safe, and he would sit with my wife or me, and he would sit on my lap, and I had this one blanket, and he would just sit there, and I loved him. He would sit with me, but then shortly after that, we went away as a family, and we were around a horse farm. I couldn't see. I literally, my eyes were so basically I couldn't see anything
Because you were allergic to the cat.
And I think, it was right then I started to realize that I've had this a little bit before, and then from there, the allergy just got worse. So we tried to decide what to do. The medicines then weren't as good as they are now. There were some, but they just weren't helping. And so we had to make a decision. And then with Jordan, when she was 8, and she... we said we may need to find someone else to take the cat. And we weren't going to do it unless we found someone that the cat would really appreciate, or that would appreciate the cat. And then we heard about a woman who had lost her own cat and loved animals, and she was feeding dogs in the neighborhood pancakes and stuff. That's how much she loved animals. And so we heard about her. My wife talked to her on the phone, and turns out that she really wanted to get back and get a cat again. Her heart, she felt, was ready to have a pet. So we took Oliver over to her, and it was just love at first sight. They got along well, and then they took Oliver back home, and we let Jordan make the decision. And it was very sad for me because she had to give him up. She goes, I don't want my daddy to be sneezing, I don't want my daddy to be sick. So we knew the cat was going to a good home. And from a practical standpoint, we also knew the cat was going to be safer than she would be with my daughter and her friends, right? So that happened. Jordan she handled it so well, but she was really upset and cried because she had to give up her pet. Fast forward to, that was 2008. So 2008. Fast forward to 2018. I'm sitting on my porch in the Catskills, and I get a text from my ex-wife. It was a picture of a newspaper article from Charleston, West Virginia, which is where we lived and where Oliver was still living. And it was a picture of Oliver in the paper, standing up proud. And the story was the woman we gave Oliver to ended up getting cancer. Very, very difficult time. And every day the husband would leave and say, you take care of mom today. You take care of mom. And then eventually she did recover, thankfully, and she was free of cancer. But in the article, they said they felt it was a blessing because God sent this animal to her because of this one little girl, Jordan, they named her, she didn't want her daddy to be sick anymore, so she wanted the cat and her daddy to be in a better place. And that cat was there for this woman to help her. And so for us, the story of Oliver and Company, it just continues in some ways.
Wow, that's a really amazing story.
Yeah, that's what.
So you've got a cat because of this movie, and now the cat went to this woman. Mm-hmm. And then the woman had the cat help her get better from cancer.
Yeah, that was her friend during the day while her husband was work. That was her companion, and it's just funny how some things work out sometimes. As hard as it was for my daughter, she handled it well and it ended up well. But like I said, make the movie.
Make the
thing.
movie, and that's why I do this podcast. These movies mean so much to people, and I like getting comedians' perspectives on them because there's all these different stories, and they take you. All these movies, everyone I think just thinks these Disney films are just princess, and they're so different. And this movie is New York. It's Billy Joel. It's Huey Lewis. And look what happened. It inspired your family to help this woman with her wanting a cat. And look how happy. And the cat's still alive, right?
As far as I know, yeah. I mean, this was 2 years ago that I knew, yeah.
Yeah. So this woman, this cat are like just living very happily. It's all because of this movie. That's why I do this podcast.
It's Oliver, and he's still Oliver. He's not named. She didn't change his name or anything. He's Oliver.
Still Oliver. Yeah. Now, if there's a dog named Dodger that just bursts in, then that's going to be really, really bizarre. But
yeah.
All right, Aric, where can people find you on social media? Do you have anything to plug? This is going to come out 3 weeks from when we're recording. Do you have anything to plug or any social media stuff?
Well, my name is spelled, as you'll see on the advertisements, ARIC is Aric and Grooms. So all my socials, Facebook, Instagram, my website's aricgrooms.com. So you can always check me there. You can see my schedules on my website. A lot of times on my social medias, I will share our shows. So you'll find me there. And then, of course, the show that we produce that I'm on most of the time, although it's getting so big, we're doing 8 or 9 a month now in the city even. So there are many times, like we have one Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday. That I can't be at.
You guys have a lot now. That's great, though.
Yeah, we do. And we're starting to do weekend shows at some of the clubs, which is nice because that puts us in a natural comedy audience. So the work's starting to pay off, but that's a verygoodcomedyshow.com. And also very good comedy is our tags on Instagram and Facebook there and Twitter. So you can find us there. Pretty easy to find. Very simple. But yeah, that's what we're plugging for right now. That's what we've got going on.
Okay, cool. And as far as my plugs, you can follow me on social media, Instagram Ray Goots, Twitter Ray Goots, Facebook Ray Goots Comedy on YouTube. You can see my album recording. They filmed it, and I'm putting that up. I'm supposed to have it up already, but we'll see. It'll probably be up when this is released. And also, please follow the Disney podcast, Goots' Disney Pod on Instagram and Twitter. Please follow us on Twitter. I keep saying that. We need more Twitter followers. And yeah, Aric, thank you so much for doing the show.
Thank you, man. It's great to talk.
It's great to have Aric Grooms of the Goots Cave. Next week, we are into what they call the Disney Renaissance era, and we'll be doing Little Mermaid with Ali Colbert.
Oh my gosh, Ali's following me. Great.
Oh yeah, she's awesome.
She's one of my favorite people. And
she's amazing. So thank you so much, Aric, for being here. Thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week with Little Mermaid. Thank you.